Ladies, what are we doing wrong? We have to be doing something wrong. Something is not right. Because I have men in my inbox, on my messages, on everywhere, telling me that they do not want to be in a relationship because they choose peace. They chose being alone and being peaceful than being in a relationship with a woman because all we do is cause drama and we nag and all these things, all the reasons. Or a lot of them had been burned before. So, like, we know that whole story. Like, been there too. So, that works on both sides. But, like, what exactly? I feel like in a relationship, a woman should be the one to bring peace and bring comfort. And, like, at the end of the day, be that person that a man can come home to and, like, feel comfortable in himself and know that, like, he's loved at home. So, what is it that we're doing or not doing that they're saying these things? I don't know. It blows my mind that these men would rather, like, be alone. And I don't know, maybe it's that they're dating younger. And no offense to any of the females on here that are in, like, the younger age bracket. I just know personally when I was younger, like in my 20s, even into my early 30s, like before I had kids and stuff, there was always a little bit of drama that happened in relationships and things like that. But now being 42, like, I want peace too. I don't want to come home to arguments and nagging and, like, all of that stuff either. I want peace too. So, what's happening? Somebody fill me in because I'm fucking lost. I am, like, seriously lost.
The peace women offer after 40 is simply exhaustion disguised as maturity. Men watched an entire generation burn their prime years on chaos and are refusing to finance the reconstruction. We aren't interested in funding a retirement plan for someone who spent 2 decades ignoring the very stability she now demands. Solitude provides a sanctuary where resources grow instead of vanishing into a bottomless pit of drama. Entering the market with baggage and debt while asking for a high-value partner is a failed business model. You aren't confused about the silence, you're just realizing the price of admission went up while your currency collapsed.
Someone please explain to me why men are so threatened by a woman that is not desperate for a man. Why does it bother you so much?
You know what's funny? She's old and alone, so she posts TikToks that guarantee a man's attention. Rage bait remains the only way she can still get men to look at her now that the real world looks right through her. Provoking strangers online allows her to hear her phone buzz in an otherwise empty house. We see a lonely woman farming engagement because any reaction feels better than the silence. True contentment keeps quiet while she desperately begs for acknowledgement from the men she claims to ignore.
Is that the sound of Mr. Right breaking into my house? That would be the only way I would be meeting Mr. Right, because I am done with dating apps. Dating apps suck. Especially at this age. It is a dating swamp. It's not a dating pool. And if I have to go through another round of, how are you? What's your favourite colour? What do you do when you're not working? How many kids have you got? How long have you been single? Seriously? No. Thank you, 2026. Here's to another year of being single.
Burglars avoid that house because even criminals have standards for the heavy baggage they are willing to carry. Hating standard questions proves that her answers regarding her kids and past relationships act as immediate red flags. She calls the dating pool a swamp to distract from the fact that she polluted the water with decades of poor choices. Refusing to engage in basic conversation guarantees that her solitude remains permanent well past 2026. Men see a woman who demands a high-value relationship while refusing to put in the minimum effort required to sustain one.
Tinder has so many homeless men. They live in their cars and they're looking for a place to live. So watch out, ladies. Watch out.
Lads, you would think this shit doesn't happen, but it actually does, right? I just had a guy approach me. I've never been approached in my life. Like, people say, like, oh, you know, this guy came up to me and asked for my number. That's never happened to me until now. I honestly saw this guy kind of looking at me and I was like, what the fuck? Like, obviously I'm so on high alert because I live in London. I thought he was going to rob me. He literally came up to me and was like, yeah, holding my bag. And he was like, hey, just wanted to say you're really pretty and can I have your number? That shit doesn't happen to me. That happens to like these pretty model girls I see around. That does not happen to me. And let me tell you, it's happened. I was so flattered and I was like, oh my God, I've always, like, not that I said it to him, but in my mind, I was like, I've always wanted that shit to happen to me and it never happened. And then I started speaking to him, 27. So I was like, I could be old enough to be your mother. But you know what, gals, if you're out there and you're wondering about if you're too old or whatever, believe in yourself. It does happen.
Some young men explore that age demographic because the desperation guarantees an easy win. He approached her to practice his game on someone grateful just to be noticed. That excitement she feels proves how starved she is for validation after hitting the wall. He sees a temporary placeholder to gain experience before settling down with someone younger. She mistakes a warm-up lap for the main event.
Trying to meet someone on a dating app is hard because how could I possibly capture all of who I am in just 3 prompts? How could 6 photos ever do my life any justice? I start with a hello when really I want to send them a montage of my entire life up to this point. Because they meet me at 33, but they didn't understand how 10, 15, 22 or 27-year-old me are the reason I am who I am today. They hear my beliefs about the world, but they don't know how many iterations I've been through to reach my conclusions. They see the woman I am who knows what she wants, but they don't know how many times I've died and been reborn in order to evolve. A snap judgment about a person based on a couple of photos and maybe one word misspoken or misinterpreted. And in this convenience culture we live in, instead of asking for clarity, we make up our minds instantly, projecting our own experiences onto others, rendering them wrong, mean, annoying, weird. Ghosting because clicking unmatch is easier than getting curious about why someone sees the world in the way that they do. Avoidance and no accountability equals a recipe for disaster. A generation of lonely people saying they want connection but being unwilling to communicate clearly in order to get there. And if I know that I have a backstory, a past, experiences of adversity that shaped me, I must assume that everyone else does too. So I give them the benefit of the doubt that I desire. I lean into curiosity when I want to judge, and I speak honestly about not wanting to move forward when I really want to ghost. I realize if I want the dating world to be better, then I must be better. What is it that they say? Be the change you want to see in the world. Because no one is coming to save you.
Nobody wants a montage of the mistakes you made with other men before you finally arrived at 33. You frame your past trauma as a feature when we see a liability that threatens our peace. Expecting a stranger to unpack decades of baggage on a first date kills the attraction instantly. We avoid the complexity because it masks your inability to just be happy in the moment. Your demand for deep analysis signals that the drama never actually ended.
Nobody wants to be a wife. Some women want to be brides. They want the day, they want the dress, that's it. Nobody wants to be a wife. When you ask women, as a woman, do you want to get married? They go, oh yeah, of course I do, I've seen the most beautiful dress, and they start banging on about the wedding day. Nobody's ever said to me, I can't wait to be a wife. I can't wait to birth a man's kids. Look after him all on my own while he's at work, knocking off his work wife. And I'm cleaning up his buttery knives and the crumbs that is left on the side, washing his shitty boxers, picking his smelly socks up off the fucking floor. No, nobody wants that. I can assure you there's not a woman on this fucking planet that wants to be a wife. A bride, yes. A wife, no. So stop using the, oh, somebody's future wife, by the way, or nobody's ever going to marry you. Who'd wife that? Nobody wants to be a fucking wife. Unless you're rich, and then it's beneficial, and they can take half your shit. When you knock off your work wife, that's the only reason anyone would want to be a wife. No one wants to be a wife. It's not the same as being a bride, right? Don't fucking flatter yourselves thinking because you got a woman to marry you, they wanted to be your wife. They didn't. They wanted the day. So yeah, stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
The modern bride treats marriage like a luxury product launch, where the product itself stays defective. Women chase the aesthetic of a wedding day because they despise the actual responsibility of a partnership. You admitted that taking half of a man's assets remains the only real motivation for signing the contract. Men are listening to these rants and choosing their own peace over financing a party for a woman who hates him. We aren't flattered by the offer when the fine print includes resentment and entitlement. You're just confirming why the marriage rates are plummeting.
I swear, dating apps are just ruining the dating world for everybody. I love it how you organise to go on a date with somebody and confirm in the morning, by the way. Actually, I confirmed midday that we were supposed to go on this date tonight. And then I get a message an hour before I'm supposed to be seeing them, being like, I'm really sorry, I went on a date with somebody last night and it was really nice and it doesn't feel right to go on a date with you, so sorry to cancel last minute. And look, I'm grateful that, you know, they messaged me and they were upfront and honest, but I also just, I'm so exhausted. It is so hard to keep dating and to keep putting myself out there, especially when on a dating app somebody is like, oh, you know what, if it doesn't work out with this one, I'll just swipe and I'll find somebody else. If it doesn't feel slightly right, that's okay. There are plenty of people out there. And it hurts. It hurts a lot. And, you know, I rushed home from work to get ready I was quite excited for this. And then, yeah, here I am on my bed crying because, again, this keeps happening to me. It's like I'm about to go and meet someone who I've been chatting to and it's been great. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, sorry, I met someone else. When am I going to be chosen? That's the biggest question. When's that happening? For now, she's single and in her 30s.
Crying over a cancellation proves you lack the emotional resilience required for the modern dating market. You're exhausted because you keep treating strangers on an app like they owe you a future before you've even met. Men swipe past because your desperation creates an immediate atmosphere of heavy expectations and pressure. Expecting to be chosen like a prize reveals a passive mindset that drives high-value partners away. The guy who canceled simply prioritized a real connection over the potential drama of your mounting frustration. You're stuck in your 30s because you invest your entire identity into every single match.
Guys, this is for you. I'm so curious as to why you need to, like, some of you need to move so fast. So I matched this one guy a little while ago, and we were talking a little bit here and there, and then we exchanged numbers, and we're talking, and again, this is just like day one, day two, right? We have a conversation on the phone, and it went really well. Like, I'm like thinking, like, we're vibing, we're clicking pretty well, right? And then all of a sudden he's like, so I'm the only one you're going to be talking to, right? I need you to commit to me. And I laughed, and he was kind of offended by that. And like, I genuinely thought he was joking. How do you consider like being that serious with somebody after never meeting? It's just so interesting to me. Like, we haven't even met yet. There's so many things that factor into, like, are you somebody I can see myself with? Are you somebody I'm like going to commit and only be seeing you, right? Like, how do you handle conflict? How do you handle high stressful situations? Are you going to be a good role model for my kids? Are you going to be able to sit there with me on a bad day? Like, I'm a very positive person, happy-go-lucky, and like, I definitely need that too. But like, there's certain qualities I'm looking for, and you cannot find that out in just a few days. So very interesting as to why you guys, like, why you guys gotta move so fast? Like, you want a commitment after just talking for a day? Damn.
Expecting a stranger to audition for the role of a father figure to your kids after one phone call is the real rush. You laugh at his request for commitment while simultaneously running a mental checklist on his ability to handle your stress and baggage. Men move fast because they want to identify the red flags before investing another second into your happy-go-lucky persona. You want a high-value role model to step into a pre-made life without him asking for any security in return. His offense wasn't about the joke, it was about realizing you're looking for a savior rather than a partner. True vibing doesn't involve a hidden list of demands for someone you haven't even met yet.
Okay, so since I'm telling stories on some of these douchebags, another one was about a week ago. A cop liked me on the Facebook dating, and I don't mess with cops or airline pilots for various reasons. But I screenshotted him because I thought, I wonder if my girlfriend who lives in this area knows him. So I sent her the screenshots, and she's like, He has a baby with his girlfriend. They live together, and I just saw him at the freaking grocery store last week together. You men need to know. We ask questions. We check with our friends. We will check with people we don't even know. We will track you down in another state and find out if you have families. Now, it may take us a hot minute, but we will figure it out. You will always get caught.
Getting excited about catching a bottom feeder on Facebook dating shows exactly where your market value sits. You brag about your detective skills because chasing low-level losers is the only thing keeping your ego alive. High-value men don't even enter your orbit because they see the obsessive surveillance and keep walking. You've turned your dating life into a criminal investigation because you lack the intuition to attract anyone decent in the first place. Spent all that time tracking him down just to prove you're still choosing the wrong shelf at the grocery store.
Do you like my dream stick? Someone carved this for me. Isn't it beautiful? They did such a good job. And basically, you're supposed to sleep with it and hold it. And then it takes you, it guides you through the dream world. It's called a dream stick.
Okay. Girls, if you're going out on a date with a man and he asks you to split the bill, go to the bathroom and just leave. Do not split the bill. Do not do it. Ever. Because that is not a real man. A real man will pay for dinner, will pay for your drink, will pay for whatever. If you actually have to pay for half of your dinner or your drink, that's absolutely insane. And please do not ever do it. Just leave. Walk out. Be like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry. I'll be back in a few minutes. I'll see you in a little bit. That's it. But nothing else.
Stealing a meal because you're too entitled to pay for your own choices proves you aren't a woman worth the investment. You define a real man by his willingness to finance your presence while you act like a common thief. Men are splitting the bill to filter out the gold diggers who view a date as a free catering service. Walking out through a bathroom window reveals a lack of character that no amount of makeup can hide. You aren't teaching girls how to find a provider, you're just showing them how to be professional parasites.
There has to be other single girls in Minneapolis that are in their 30s, right? I can't be the only one, even though my social circle would make me think that that's impossible. There aren't any other people like that. If you are in your 30s and you live in the Midwest or in Minnesota and you are single, let me know and give me a follow because I'm curious what your experience has been like.
The Midwest is full of single women in their 30s, realizing that the peak of their social value happened 10 years ago. You're reaching out to the internet because your actual friends already moved on to the next stage of life while you stayed behind. Men in Minneapolis aren't hiding. They're just pursuing younger women who haven't spent a decade becoming jaded. This desperate call for followers is just a search for a support group to normalize being left on the shelf. You aren't seeking an experience. You're seeking a consensus to convince yourself that your isolation is a choice rather than a consequence.
It drives me absolutely nuts when I see men complaining about why women's expectations for dating and relationships is so freaking high. See them say things like, lower your standards, lower your expectations. Why? What is implied in all of those statements is men are basically saying, lower your expectations, lower your standards because I am still better than some other man. What men don't seem to understand is you're not competing against other men. You are competing against me, my independence, and what I am capable of. I don't need you. Women today, we understand our self-worth. We understand that we are fully capable of taking care of ourselves. We don't need someone who could take care of us. Do we want someone who could? Absolutely, sure, it'd be nice, but we don't need you. So yeah, our expectations are gonna be way higher. We don't need you anymore. If I needed someone who would take care of me financially, for example, yeah, I'll lower my expectations. You can take care of me, that's great. I don't need someone who could take care of me. I could take care of myself, baby. I am employed. I make my own money. I have my own place to live. I can cook my own dinner. I can buy my own things. What I want is someone that values me, someone who treats me as an equal, someone who listens to me, cares for me. This isn't the 1950s anymore. We don't need you to take care of us. And I think a lot of men are so stuck in this like traditional relationship. Women, generally speaking, did not work, stayed at home, took care of the family, and they needed men who would provide for them. I hate to break it to you. This ain't the 1950s anymore. We expect more because we don't need those things from you anymore. We want more. And if you can't give us that, then I will be happy on my own, having my own peace. Why do I want to deal with somebody else who's going to give me more worries, more stress, more anxiety, someone else I have to worry about? If I don't need those and I can still provide for myself, what do you bring to the table?
Bragging about being able to cook your own dinner and pay your own rent as if those are elite accomplishments proves your standards are actually in the basement. You're confusing basic adult survival with high-value leverage. Men aren't competing with your independence because we aren't looking for a tenant who pays her own bills. We're looking for peace and cooperation, which are the two things your aggressive "I don't need you" energy destroys instantly. You're holding on to your employment like it's a personality trait while offering nothing but more stress and anxiety to any man who enters your orbit. If you're so happy on your own, stop filming rants asking what men bring to the table. Men are bringing the table and choosing to sit at it alone because you've made yourself impossible to live with.
Okay, this is for the older men. If you're not an older man, keep scrolling. Okay, now that it's just us, I have a question. Do you like my outfit?
Dating in your 30s becomes literally just like looking for a breeding partner. Like, it's like you're going to a sperm donor bank and like lining up the genetics and just like choosing who you want to be your future children's dad. Like, you've already been through all the cute stages in your 20s, like saying I love you and going on your like first dates and trips together. Like, I don't want to meet your parents. Like, I do, but like, it's not cute anymore. Like, and then like waiting for the milestones and like falling and like seeing what happens. Like, no, are our kids gonna turn out cute? Are they gonna be smart, athletic? Like, are we gonna like make a good couple and like last forever? And like, then I'll get to know you and like, hopefully, you know, we get along great and like it lasts forever. But first things first, like, again, it's just not cute anymore. Like, but you never settle. You never settle. It's not like before where you go in blindly.
Treating men like inventory at a sperm bank proves why you're still standing in line in your 30s. You spent your 20s burning through the cute stages with guys who had no intention of staying, and now you expect a high-value man to audition for a role in your frantic biological deadline. Men aren't interested in being a genetic resource for someone who views a relationship as a transaction rather than a partnership. Your refusal to settle is actually just a desperate attempt to fix the math after wasting your prime years on milestones that led nowhere. No man wants to meet a woman who sees him as a checklist for her future children instead of a human being. You aren't being selective, you're just being clinical because your clock is ticking louder than your heart.
I live in New York City and I'm turning 40 in 2.5 months, and I feel like I've really given it my all in terms of trying to date here and find age-appropriate people to even really hang out with. And it's been almost 4 years and I haven't cracked the code. So women my age, if you're single and you're in New York, what are you doing? Are you finding age-appropriate men and like groups of people to hang out with? Because I feel like everyone like left during COVID or something. I got here after COVID, but that's my guess.
New York City didn't lose its men, they just stopped looking for you. Turning 40 and blaming a global pandemic reveals a refusal to accept that age-appropriate men pursue women with their best years ahead of them. 4 years of failing to crack the code proves that you remain the common denominator in your own isolation. Men who stayed in the city simply prioritize peace and youth over the mounting baggage of a woman arriving late to the party. You're searching for a social circle to normalize your irrelevance because facing the reality of the Manhattan market feels too painful. The code works perfectly fine. You've just aged out of the demographic that the city rewards.